Here, I am chipping away the muddy layer of the vase in order to reveal the clarity and the defined pattern of the vase underneath. To me, this represents the path to self discovery, which is to take away the illusion of the aspects of yourself that you believed in that are not true, such as how you're unworthy and unlovable. This is a representation of my journey into full healing and to discovering who I am, which is that I am part of the universe and that I am inherently valued and loved because I am part of the universe and I exist. And so while I was chipping away this outer layer of the vase, it occurred to me that this is a representation of a spiritual journey. And I believe that once a person is able to take away the illusion of the false narrative of what they have been telling themselves throughout their whole life, then they're able to truly see the essence of who they are, which is that they are pure, unconditional love without any flaws or any mistakes. Hi. So, in about a week's time, I listened to three of Robert Schwartz's audiobooks. The first one is called Your Soul's Plan, the second one is called Your Soul's Gift, and the final one is called Your Soul's Love. And after listening to the first book, I just fell in love with Rob Schwartz's work. So I felt compelled to listen to the rest of his audiobooks. And the whole idea behind his work is that he explores a soul's pre-birth plans and he obtains information about a person's pre-birth plans through the help of psychic mediums and channelers. And after I finished listening to his audiobooks, I am even more convinced that each of us has a pre-birth plan and that we are here to explore those plans. And his work has just really helped me to develop a more peaceful and joyful outlook on life. So for me, I had a very difficult time recently with my child being sick for 2 weeks with a flu. So he has been out of school for 2 weeks and thankfully he's back in school now. He's completely well. And now that he's back in school, I just feel so thankful that I can enjoy my free time while he's learning at school. And what the books written by Rob Schwartz has done for me is that I am able to approach my life and all the hardships and challenges that come with it with a perspective from a higher vantage point, which is that I deeply believe that my soul has chosen this particular life events for me before I even was born. So throughout my life, I have been just, I've complained a lot to myself about how hard my life was. And I think that as I'm getting older and as I'm learning more about my soul's journey, I am becoming more familiar and more accepting of this notion that I planned this particular life for myself and that all the hardships that I faced and that I'm currently facing are actually all for my own good. And going through it, I wouldn't have recognized it as such, but now I really believe it. And I choose to believe that I had that kind of power to choose this life for myself, including the parents that I have, the sibling that I have, just all the circumstances that I was born into. All of that was pre-planned before birth. And Believing this and seeing my life from this higher vantage point gives me a lot of peace and acceptance. And it helps me to just really tolerate and handle the difficulties of life. And I find that the more I do the spiritual work and the more I'm learning about various aspects of spirituality, I am just able to find more peace and joy in my heart. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of channelings by different beings who channel higher beings like Jesus. There are people like Tina Spalding, there's Gina Lake, and there's Pamela Erlin who are channeling Jesus and other higher beings. And when I listen to these messages, I have no doubt that they are really channeling Jesus. And I suppose that the biggest takeaway that I'm learning about now is that we are all one, that we are operating from one consciousness, which is source consciousness. But on earth, we believe in separation because that's the point of this earth life and this earth experience. So we were born here with this ego that creates this illusion of separation. And we operate as our own personalities, as unique expressions of God. And we have the free will and the free choice to make our own decisions and live however we want. But there are different universal laws that are at play, and whether you're aware of them or not, they are still in effect. So now that I'm learning more about these laws, I am able to live more consciously, which means that I choose to act in a way that raises my vibration because now I know that I am a vibrational being, that I am energy, and that it's really important for me to raise my vibration if I'm going to live a peaceful and harmonious life. So the way I'm doing that is by choosing to be very conscious of my thoughts and my emotions and to recognize that the thoughts that I have don't represent who I am as a being. That the thoughts and emotions that I have are just part of the human experience, but that it doesn't, those, they don't define me. So sometimes I find myself waking up in the morning with immense anxiety. And what I do nowadays, as opposed to in the past, before I learned more about the rules of the universe, the laws of the universe, in the past, when I had anxious thoughts, I try so hard to push it away or to push it down in my body because it was just so uncomfortable and I just didn't want to face it. And a lot of the times, the anxiety was caused by thoughts about the past or worries about the future. And I found myself feeling so uncomfortable by having these negative thoughts and worries about the future. And they would cause tremendous anxiety for me. And so in the past, what I would do is to try to push them down and to just not face them. But nowadays, I know that when I feel anxious, I just sit with it and I remind myself that my emotions don't represent who I am, that I don't need to follow every thought that I have and to believe that it's real. Because a lot of the times, thoughts and emotions are generated by my refusal to truly accept who I am. And I have really dealt with a lot of inability to accept myself and to love myself for most of my life. And I say that with a lot of comfort. And I don't feel ashamed about admitting that because I recognize that this is one of the themes that my soul has chose to explore in this life. So I fully believe that I came into this life with this challenge for myself to go through an experience of such self-hatred and self-loathing because of just my inability to accept my past mistakes and just parts of myself that I didn't approve of or that I wouldn't accept. And I finally recognized that that's one of the lessons that I've come to learn, which is that my past doesn't define me and that I am more than the mistakes that I've made and the regrets that I have held on for so long, which I have faced many decades of living a miserable life because I refused to let the past go. But now I finally realized that in order for me to truly live a fulfilling life, which I have a birthright to do, I finally realized that I have the right to be peaceful and happy and live a joyful life. And in order to do that, I have to truly love myself. And that's where I am now. Nowadays, I am very deliberate about being kind to myself because I really learned that by criticizing myself and not accepting who I am just leads to a lot of misery that is really unnecessary. And as painful as it has been to live most of my life with a lot of regrets and feeling worthless at times and just really hating myself, now I look back on those times and I almost laugh about it because I realize how unnecessary that was. And I'm able to say this with so much comfort and acceptance because I truly know that this is a life that I had set out for myself. That one of the challenges that I created for myself was to have this experience of not accepting myself and to hate myself, which was all an illusion. There was really no reason for me to hate myself because now I know that I am part of the universe, that I have a birthright to be happy and free and to be at peace. And it's just really ironic that I lived so long with this delusion of feeling worthless and unlovable, when in reality, I am lovable just because I exist. And I didn't realize that so many people have this hard time of self love. I maybe thought that it was only me that was facing this problem. But apparently, in my study of spirituality, I have learned that a lot of people suffer with this. And I suppose I'm sharing my story with the hope that I can show others that they're not alone, that if you hate yourself, and most likely it's because of your circumstances that you have gone through, whether they are traumatic events from the past or people around you who may be toxic. They may be sucking your energy and it may just cause you to doubt yourself and make you feel like you're worthless and that you're unlovable. But the reality is that that is not true, that you are lovable just because you exist, because you're part of the universe, that everyone here, we are all part of the universe, and that we have an inherent right to be free and happy and joyful. And one thing that I know for sure is that while we are all one, in that we are all part of the universe, that doesn't mean that we need to get along with everyone, because there are many people who are so unconscious that they have unhealed wounds or past trauma that they haven't healed from, that causes them to be very wicked and vicious to others because they're basically projecting their own self hatred toward others. And that is a tragedy. And I have had a lot of experience with this where people have really, really mistreated me due to their own wounding. And what I have learned is that the more I learn to truly love myself and to realize my inherent value and worth as a human being, I realize that I have the right to remove myself from those people who were hurting me, and there was just no love in the relationship. And what brought me a lot of freedom is recognizing that I have the right and the free will to get myself out of those situations. And I have done that with a lot of relationships where I have broken free from a lot of the relationships, and it has brought me a lot of freedom. So I hope to give you inspiration that you have the right to do that as well.